All right, let's turn our attention closer to home. And really, domestic and family violence is not something we want to talk about at breakfast on a Monday, but it's a reality in New Zealand.
Sadly.
They're saying in the last fiscal year, 90,000 incidents attended, more than, by police. Is that an acceptable level? Well,
I don't think so. So you have to take a step back and say, okay, well, why are there large numbers of these instances being attended by police? I think there's a few things. One, reporting's probably higher now, so there's more awareness of it, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing that there's awareness. It's not a good thing that's happening, obviously, but it's good that they are being reported. Then I think there are a number of other things that are happening. Generally, drugs and alcohol often involved in these kind of instances, so that's one issue we need to look at. I mean, the government puts in a lot of resources here, well over $15 million into women refuge. We changed the law when we first became the government back in 2008, 2009 in terms of restraining orders and the capacity for the police to actually put in place an immediate order, which would mean that that person, is generally a male, is taken from the property and can't go back for, I think it's up to about 5 days. They have the capacity to make it shorter over time if things cool down.
That sentence that you said before opens a lot of questions. You're saying drugs and alcohol involved, and yet the alcohol reform bill, many people saying it's toothless, it hasn't really changed anything. Do you think that legislation, when it passes fully and finally, will reduce the amount of alcohol involved in domestic violence?
It might, because one of the things it's looking at is the number of outlets where you can buy alcohol and the proliferation of those across our community, so that might help. But look, in the end, my own view with alcohol is that we're seeing in the Parliament at the moment, for the first time in really 20 years, Parliament is taking a more conservative view. After 20 years of liberalisation, there's certain things which aren't contained in the legislation, certain things that were voted down by Parliament, like lifting the drinking age. But in my own view of alcohol is we'll only really change the way we drink when culturally we change. And when I go out to high schools, that's the thing I talked to them about. Parliament can pass any law you want. It's like having a 100-kilometre driving limit. I mean, that's there and that's the law. But if you're silly enough to go 180 k's because you want to try your car out, I mean, the passing of the law doesn't physically stop it. It's the belief that you understand what it might do.
So
it's the same thing with alcohol.
Who leads the change, the government or the people?
I think it's got to be a bit of both. I think, in the end, parents have to try and talk to their youngsters that it's about, drinking to enjoy yourself, not drinking to get drunk. And we're not alone in that. I mean, in terms of westernised democracies, go and have a look at Australia, go and look at the UK. I don't think it's any different in New Zealand, but it's bad across all of those democracies. OK,
back to family violence. There's talk about confusing reporting, the fact that the government might have stopped effective reporting of family violence statistics. Is that a fair enough criticism?
Well, I don't have any information on that. I've never been advised of that. I mean, I think the police, they're independent for a start off. They look carefully at gathering information so that they can inform us about what's going on. So if there's something different, I'll go and find out, but I don't have any details of that.
OK, violent crime, the aim of the government is to reduce that by 20% by 2017. How specifically are women being protected in that?
Well, the change of the law initially was one thing. So often what had happened in the past was that if you had a domestic situation, let's say the husband was drunk, he was looking like he was going to be abusive to the wife or children, the police had to go through quite a process to get a restraining order. We changed the law to allow that to be a much more rapid, fast process so it can happen instantly. And so that was a really good thing. Secondly, as I say, reporting is, and making sure that we run campaigns about that. I mean, look, ultimately, people should be able to be safe in their home, and it is a really serious question when you start saying that 89,000, 90,000 particular homes are visited every year because there's a domestic violence incident. And I think there was last year, I think there were 23 suspected deaths in family domestic violence issues. So it's a very serious issue for our country. OK, another serious issue, but it's before the courts this morning. The Maori Councils in court over water rights. This set down for 4 days, but it could be delayed, the asset sales program, for more than 4 days. What's your expectation from this process? Well, now it's before the courts, so I've got to let the courts do their job. But I mean, the government's confident of its position. I mean, the basis of the court case is whether the selling of shares in any way inhibits the government's capacity to register a right or interest in water that it wants to register, not that someone claims, but that it wants to register. And our view is the selling of shares makes no difference in that regard, and we believe we're on very strong legal grounds. A spokeswoman was saying today they think they can come to a negotiated solution. What would a negotiated solution look like? I would have no idea, because I'm not interested in negotiating a solution. We're going to court now, and let's deal with that process.
All right. Hobbit Premier, you're going to head down to Wellington. A little bit of controversy, a journalist being sort of elbowed for reporting negatively. Do you think, is there something, you know, is there the sense of Big Brother there?
Well, not us anyway. We're not, I don't know. I don't know anything about that story. But look, I think the thing with the Hobbits is, myself, is I think we should celebrate. I mean, look, I haven't seen the movie, obviously. I've seen a quick 10 minutes behind the scenes at one point. Looked fantastic, the bit I saw. I think it's going to be amazing for New Zealand and for Peter Jackson. And, you know, as a country, we should celebrate the fact that I think that we've got, you know, incredibly talented people. I mean, over 3,000, or around about 3,000 people have worked on it. You've got some, you know, brilliant post-production work done by Weta. Isn't this our time just to stand up for once and say, hey, you know, we're pretty cool, we're a neat little country, and we've produced these great movies? John Key, Prime Minister, thank you. Thank you.
And hopefully we'll talk to you on Wednesday morning in Wellington, pre-Premier, if that's OK.
In Mingalaba to you. That's my new little saying from Myanmar. Good morning.
Myanmar. Good morning.
Mingalaba.
Mingalaba, thank you very much. Mingalaba, Prime Minister. We'll see you on Wednesday.